Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we have a very special guest, our brother Farid. You may have seen him on YouTube. Farid Responds is his channel. And Jazakallah khair, akhi, for coming on and having this discussion.
Habibi, thanks for having me. Barakallah feek.
My pleasure. Yeah, so I first came across some of your work. I think it was when I became more active on Twitter over the past year. I avoided Twitter for a long time, but somehow I kind of prefer it now to Facebook and other social media. But I guess once you sort of figure out what's going on with Muslim Twitter and you follow the right people, it can be pretty cool. So I got familiar with you on there, and one thing that you did that really just put love for you in my heart, Jazakallah khair, is when you were responding to the doubts that Christian Prince, CP, that he was putting out there, because I was getting flooded on my channel for so long. People saying, debate Christian Prince, you can't answer his doubts and this and that. And
I still get that, man. I still get that, even after
I do
60
too,
videos.
from time to time. But there's no excuse for you to get that. But yeah, I get it from time to time, and now I just send them your playlist. I'm like, Christian Prince, what? Watch these. And like, he's done for, So yeah, because I personally, I don't really like exposing myself to all the doubts and the this and the that. I listened to a few of his videos, but for the work that you did in that regard, Jazakallah khair, was so important, because apparently it actually was, I don't know, having, an effect on some of the Muslims even. So yeah, so anyways, we'll get more into, I guess, your channel and everything. But first, I wanted to give the viewers a bit of familiarity with your background. I've had people message me actually, like when I put out that video, Dear Farid Responds, like, yeah, mashallah, what do you know about this brother and this and that? So inshallah today we can.
Which ironically has more views than my video, but yeah, go on.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah, man. It's interesting what people decide to watch, right? Like,
yeah.
But anyways, man, so where are you from growing up? Let's, just get to know you a little bit better.
Allah barak feek. Before anything, I think the first time I came across you was a video you made about Nu'man Ali Khan. And I believe it was brother Ali who told me about it. Ali from Sunni Defense. He was like, you need to check this out. This guy is so spot on what he says. And I think I already did. I think I already did watch it before he told me about it. And I really loved the insaf. It was such a fair video. It was so on point. And yeah, I immediately knew that I just enjoy and love your content. And I think when I first saw you on Twitter, Allah barak feek, I was like, oh, mashallah, he's here.
Yeah.
It was great, man. It was great.
Jazakallah khair.
That
that video is interesting, because for a very long time that was the top viewed by far video on my channel. And alhamdulillah, I'm glad that you watched the whole thing, because some people, it seems like they watch, I mean, you get to see it on YouTube, you get to see the average view duration. It's like that Nu'man Ali Khan video, I tried to be very fair and balanced, and I was leading somewhere throughout the whole thing. But some people, they'll only watch a few minutes and then they'll start posting stuff, and it's like, you didn't even, anyways. But it's interesting to find out how people come across your content, because you put out all this content over the years. Some people, they came across my content from the Saudi food reviews, where I'm like showing them different types of dates and stuff, which I did. I did like 4 episodes of that. But yeah, it's interesting. But so anyways, man, let's hear about your story, man, growing up and whatnot.
I don't know, Yahi. What do you want to know?
Well, where are you from? I don't know what exactly. It seems like you kind of keep a low profile, so I don't want, to talk about anything you're uncomfortable with. But
Adi. I'm Bahraini. Spent my whole life in Bahrain. Used to travel. Yeah, my mom dragged me around Europe as a kid. Never been to the States. Yeah.
What's it like in Bahrain? Let's hear a little bit about Bahrain, because a lot of us probably aren't so familiar.
Well, Bahrain is quite special because it's the smallest kingdom in the world, and it's quite small. It's really, really small. You can get from one edge of Bahrain. You can get from west coast to east coast in about, and like no one says west coast or east coast about Bahrain except for me. You can get from one side to the other in like 20 minutes. It's a really small country.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very diverse country. The population is, split between Sunnis and Shi'is. It's around like 55% Shi'i, 45% Sunni. But the country, like the government, is Sunni. So yeah, it's a huge expat community as well. So it's a very diverse country compared
So,
to yeah, many countries around the region. Not as diverse as UAE. Mashallah, UAE. There's nothing as diverse as UAE, but yeah, it's quite diverse.
what would you say the level of practicing and scholarship is there when it comes to Islam?
يعني Bahrain isn't like the land of the ulama. There are some, not too many. Most of the main mashayikh I took from are mashayikh that came to Bahrain. They came to Bahrain from Saudi. For dawrat, to give these lessons and courses. Yeah, not too much. Not they have these institutes, these small institutes. There's about 4 Sunni institutes. I believe that. So there is no Islamic university, but I think that there are some Islamic courses in one of the universities here, but nothing too specialized.
I mean, is it
Yeah.
easy for you to travel around to the other? Because I mean, you're nearby all these other Muslim countries that you can study
Oh
at.
yeah. I mean there's a bridge between Bahrain and Saudi.
Right.
So yeah, there's a bridge, and there was at one point I used to drive to Saudi every day for work. So it's not fun. I mean, it's not fun driving to another country every day, even though the country is quite close by. But yeah, it's not fun. But yeah,
So,
it's that close.
how did you end up going to Europe? You said your mother would take you to Europe and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that. So,
yeah. She enjoyed traveling. So
I mean,
yeah,
did you
yeah.
know how to speak English from a very young age, or is it something you later on developed?
Yeah. Bahrain, I think it's the strongest country when it comes to fluency in English in the Khalij. But that comes at the expense of our Arabic. I believe that Arabic in Bahrain is weaker than everywhere else in the Khalij. So yeah, you have that. My grandfather knew English, and he was like apparently one of the. There weren't too many people that could read and write English at the time, and he knew English. Yeah, excuse me, my great grandfather, if I'm not mistaken, which was quite surprising to me. فيا يعني الحمد لله الحمد لله. What was I saying?
Well, I was going to ask you about going to Europe and stuff. What was that like
Oh
traveling
yeah.
from Bahrain and then?
Yeah, I never really appreciated it at the time. I didn't appreciate it at the time. I was, you want to be around your friends in your country, and your mom is dragging you across places you don't want to go. So I did, I had to endure that as a kid, and I didn't enjoy traveling until like really recently. The last time I really traveled was to the UK a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed that. I love the infrastructure. I love the parks. We don't really have parks like that in Bahrain. I remember, like the highlight of my whole trip wasn't going to Speaker's Corner. Speaker's Corner was nice, but the highlight of my trip was going to Little Park, and I saw this thing, yahi. I never seen this thing before, and it's in the bushes, and I'm like, what is that? It was a squirrel, yahi. I never saw a squirrel in my life. And it's something you see in cartoons, man. Yeah, and you don't see squirrels over here. And then a couple of days later, I went to the park again. A squirrel came up to me and did this. It just like did this thing, I don't know. It's like, do they do that? I don't know if they do that, but it did that, and I was like, "Ajib, it's so cute." But that was the highlight of my trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. It's amazing. Like when you travel and you see how Allah created different creatures that live in different habitats. Like,
Yeah,
man. Growing up in America, we had lots of squirrels and stuff like that and grass. But then when you go, I lived in Medina for like 8 years. It's like, it was like a different planet, really. Like when I would come back and forth, the green to the desert to the green. But Yeah, man. So let's talk about, I guess we want to move towards you, I guess, studying Islam and stuff like that. So were you always sort of inclined towards studying Islam and responding to some of the attacks
Yeah,
that you've done?
not really. Yeah, when I was any, it's interesting. I'm going to share a story, man. I'm going to share a story. When I was really young, this is going to be real. This is going to sound weird. When I was really young, I went on one of those. I don't know. It was some religious chat, and I spoke to this guy who was from. He was from this weird sect. I don't know much about them. I don't know if you have Lahbash. Have you heard of Lahbash?
No.
Okay, so they're mainly in Lebanon, I think. I don't know what's up with Lahbash, but they're extremely anti-Salafi. I make takfir of Salafis, and I just spoke to the guy just a little bit, and the guy used to be like, he'd like list some mashayikh. He'd be like Ibn Taymiyyah kafir, Amr Khalid kafir. There's this clip of Amr Khalid like pointing upwards. And he's like, you see, he's a kafir. He's pointing upwards. You don't point upwards, to God. He's a kafir. And I remember that sticking with me. And I was really young at the time. I remember going up to my mom, and I said to her, this is crazy, man. I said to her, I was like, do you know that Ibn Taymiyyah is a kafir? I don't even know who Ibn Taymiyyah was, man. No, wait, did I say that? Yeah, I did say that. And
How
she
old were you?
rebuked me. I was really young. I can't remember how young I was. I was really
Okay.
young. But she was like, huh? And
That's got to be scary.
yeah. You see your kid, saying something like that. And she rebuked me. She rebuked me for it. And she rebuked me so hard that it really affected me. It really affected me. And from then on, I was like, what the hell? Why am I like saying these things about someone? I don't know anything about Ibn Taymiyyah. I don't know anything about Aqidah. I knew nothing about Aqidah. There was just this kid that was, that heard something online that sounded interesting, and I accepted it for some odd reason. However, ironically, the idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not above the heavens for some reason remained, and it remained in my heart for years after that, due to that. Just because that one guy said this to me, and I never looked into it, never looked into the hadith, never looked into the Quran. It just stuck there. It was just there. Up until many, many years later, a friend of mine was telling me that the Shaykh of the masjid said, that Allah's above. And I was like, huh, very interesting. I looked into it, and
You're
I was
having
convinced.
flashbacks.
Yeah, of course. Looked into it, looked into the hadith, looked into the verses. I was completely convinced after that. But subhanAllah, it's really interesting how something will remain with you in your mind for the longest time without you realizing that that it's false, or there's nothing to back it up. Another one was when I was in grade school. I don't know how young I was. I was like 8. I was 8 or something, even less, maybe 7. And the teacher, like, there was this picture book about this kid who'd make faces, like, whatnot, and stick his tongue out. And what would happen to him was like a cloud came or something, and the cloud blew on his face, and his face froze, and his face just froze, and he was stuck with a funny face for forever, and people would make fun of him and whatnot. And I was like, okay, that's really messed up. I was a kid, kids, you believe dumb things. So what was really strange is I go up to the teacher. I was like, "Is this real?" Because I was really concerned. I was a kid that used to make a lot of faces, and I didn't want that to happen to me. And she said to me, "Well, I think she said, like, well, you never know," or "Yes, it is." I can't remember, but she didn't deny it. And that thought was there for years. Like, I don't know how long, but it was there for years. And just one day, I just thought about it. I was like, that can't happen. That's not real. But subhanAllah, when you don't think about something, it could stay there for the longest time without you realizing. Has that ever happened to you?
Well, it's funny because I remember it was sort of common that adults would say that, like, oh, don't do that with your face or whatever, or else it might stay like that, you know? So I remember hearing that, and also I reached a point, I guess, when I started just questioning life in general, the meaning of life, is when I started sort of going down that path of reflecting on my childhood and seeing how all those little things that you're talking about, how it really does affect the way you view the world, and it helps shape somebody. And I remember when I was searching for truth, I wanted sort of a clean slate and just say, let's put all of that stuff that I was sort of, brainwashed to an extent, or I was influenced growing up, and let me find the truth, but it definitely does have a very huge effect on you. And I think a lot of people don't even at all, or perhaps even ever reach that level of contemplation.
Right. Any specific examples come to mind?
Oh, I don't know, man. I'd have to reopen some.
Putting you on the spot.
I mean, well, yeah, because it was really, I mean, when I was in college, okay, and I had reached that point in my life where I'm like, okay, what's the purpose of life? I mean, it's there's so much going on in your head at that point. I mean, I was really getting deep into my own thoughts and everything that was happening around me. So to even try to pinpoint something, I mean, I guess it started with once it actually relates a lot to what you were just saying, because like we were told about like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny. Right. So it's like, you believe that when you're a kid, you believe what you're told, right. And looking back, you're like, oh, that's silly. But it's like, that's what, when you're a kid, you expect the adults to tell you the truth. Right. So yeah, I think, and then once you start getting older and you realize that all those were lies, then you just start running off doing your own thing and kind of rebelling and being like, and then like I reached a point where I just was like, look, I rejected a lot of what I was told growing up. I saw that was wrong, but this path I've been going down, following my desires, and because even the media, even like following my desires, a lot of those are shaped through like Hollywood and music and this and that. So sort of reaching that point where it's like, okay, what's the truth? And that's when, who do you turn to except Allah? That's when your fitra, when you remember your fitra and you realize like, you start making dua, or at least this is what happened to me. Alhamdulillah. Many brothers have the same story, and
do you feel that like that specific dua for guidance, do you feel that played a direct role in where you are?
Absolutely. I think it was John Fontaine. Shout out to John Fontaine. I think he's pointed out that I don't think he's ever heard a convert story where that wasn't like the part where they start being guided, is when they turn to Allah and ask him for guidance, So yeah, I think that's definitely, yeah. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. That's something that people should also realize. Like even though I started asking Allah for guidance, I still kept searching for many months, maybe even a year or two, but eventually, alhamdulillah, he guided me, and I was so ready for it at that point. Like there was no turning back, like alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
But what about yourself in terms of, I guess becoming more practicing?
Wallah, I don't know when it happened, but my mom had an influence on me. She used to watch, and this is strange. She used to watch some of those costume dramas, if you could call them that, like Umar bin Abdul Aziz, Harun al-Rashid. They'd have those shows with mainly starring Nur al-Sharif. He was the main guy who was doing that stuff. This is way before Umar bin Khattab and Khalid bin Walid, those shows. So yeah, it was Umar bin Abdul Aziz was the first one. He was like, his main thing was zuhd, and that influenced her. And then she put on the hijab, and slowly that started to affect me.
Oh, interesting. So I mean, what were you into up until that point? I mean, you went to school? Didn't you go to school abroad and study?
No. I was. Oh, you mean for university?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you end up doing that, and what led up to all those different things?
To be honest, university, I just wanted to get out of home. Yeah, I just wanted to get away. I hope my parents never see this, but yeah, I just wanted to get away, man.
I mean, that's common. Yeah. Everyone feels that way.
Yeah. My parents got no idea I do this, man. By the way, I don't think they'd enjoy watching, people taking my image and distorting my face and putting it on,
Oh
animals and
yeah.
whatnot.
Oh
That's the
yeah,
thing.
you're in a
I'm in a
certain
different
part of the
world.
internet.
I'm in a different world, man. I got a lot of haters. Shout out to all my haters. You're not gonna stop me. You enjoy the show. Keep watching the show. But yeah, subhanAllah, I just wanted to get away, man, to be honest.
Were you
You spend
influenced by all the because I know for me, I had this concept in my head that college, that's like the best years of your life. You're a young adult, you get away from your parents. It's like, you got it made, So like I was
yeah.
the same way. I just wanted to get away and to go. And then I eventually realized like, okay, this is not what life is all about,
It
So did
was,
you have
man.
that same experience?
I
Oh,
loved
you
it.
had a
I
great college
absolutely loved college. Yeah, it was
experience.
still the best days of my life. I don't tell my wife.
Mashallah.
You know. So I absolutely loved college, man. Yeah, just being in the dorms, having friends all around you, 24/7. You're bored, call up a friend, come over. He's there in 10
Where did
seconds.
you go to college?
I went to the UAE. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, okay.
Not too far away. And I try to stay there as much as possible. In the breaks, like summer breaks, I tell my parents, "Hey, I need to take the summer classes," even though I didn't really need to. But
Mhm.
I just loved it, man. I just loved being in college. It got kind of slow towards the last year. I've been, fourth year here for too long. But apart from that, it was okay, best days of my life, man. It's just so much fun.
What were you
And
studying?
I studied mass communications, which is another reason why it was so much fun, is because it's so easy.
Right.
Remind me, how about yourself, Yahi?
It was called visual communication design. So it was like everything that had to do with art, from film and video and animation and photography, all the way to like fine arts and drawing and
Do you feel that
all of that.
influenced why you're doing this? Did that have something to do with why you're doing this?
Absolutely. I mean, I was already interested in all of that. I was already sort of doing that ever since like sixth grade is when I started learning how to make websites and do graphics and stuff. So it just sort of was natural once I had to decide what major to choose. It was like, I already know how to do this stuff and I just want to go to college and, get that whole experience. So that's the route I went down. And then once I became Muslim, it was sort of like, okay, how do I juggle these skills that I was supposed to like, they expect you when you're like in how old, 18, 19, to choose a path that you're going to go down the whole rest of your life, and like, so I chose that path, but then I completely changed my entire life becoming Muslim. So it was like, well, how do I balance the two? And alhamdulillah, Allah made it easy, eventually. I mean, that's what my YouTube channel is basically, is just, taking the
Yeah,
skills that I learned in college and even before that, and then mixing it with Dawah and what I learned in Medina and
alhamdulillah,
being a Muslim. So,
alhamdulillah,
but what about
alhamdulillah.
yourself, man?
والله يا أخي I had no idea I was going to get into this. I had no idea I was going to get into mass communications. When I got into the program, there were a few film classes. I really enjoyed the film classes. I got really close to the film professor. He taught me quite a bit. I really loved them. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Um, and I really put my heart into it. And one day, here's what changed. Here's what, I don't know if I've ever shared this story before, or at least not publicly. So I shot this, this documentary about this young guy who was confused about a hadith, and he wanted to look into a hadith. And basically, it's like this docudrama kind of thing. We went to mashayikh and we started asking mashayikh about questions that do with ilm al-hadith. What makes a hadith authentic? How do we know that these narrators are reliable? Were a hadith written early on? Stuff like that. And then when I was done with the movie, it came out fine. It came out looking good. I knew how to make it look good. It was done. We submitted it to this film competition, and at that film competition, I was certain this thing was going to win. I was certain this thing was going to win because the competition was really bad. The folks that we were up against were really, really bad. This was a fact. This was a fact. And what happened was, this guy who I knew was not good at what he did, he was presented with the award, and akhi, it's cash, akhi. It's some good. It was some real cash, and I needed that cash, man. I needed that cash. But what happened was, subhanallah, when I went back home, or I went back to the hotel, because this was a film festival. I got a call from the director of the film competition saying, Farid, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like, huh? What's going on? This is the weirdest thing. Yeah. And he was like, I'm so sorry that you did not win. One of the guys who was on the committee refused to give the first prize to you, is because the ideas that you expressed in the video were against his ideology, and therefore, yeah. So it was terrible. It was terrible, and that played a role in me stopping the stuff completely. One, and two, the main reason I stopped, focusing on film and whatnot, was I was in when the movie was displayed on the screens. I was looking around, and the place was quite empty. There weren't too many people there. I could probably count them. It's probably like 10 people or something. And that's the thing, akhi. That's the thing. Unless it's some sort of blockbuster Hollywood movie, no one's going to see it. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is with most films. And
Do you still have this film?
I'd have to dig it up, but I'm certain it's here somewhere.
No, we got to see it, man.
Inshallah, ما في مشكلة. I have no issues digging it up. Put up on my channel or something. So what happened was, or your channel, if you want. So what happened was, akhi, that really, really affected me, because, akhi, it was a movie that had the da'wah element, that taught people something about their deen, and there was no one there. No one cared. No one was going to watch it. I put it up on YouTube. I think I did put it up on YouTube for a while. It barely got any views. And akhi, this affected me. I hated this. And I thought to myself, people just don't want to learn their deen. Wallah, man. And due to that, I stopped doing anything media related for the deen. I just focused on articles. I just wrote. I took part in forums, and I wrote for people that cared about learning. And at that time, I couldn't care less about folks who aren't bothered to read. If you're not bothered to read, then I don't have, I'm not gonna put the deen on a silver platter for you. Yahi, you put an effort and you read, and that's how it's supposed to be done. That's the real way it's supposed to be done. Al-asl is not a video. Al-asl is a book, an article. That's where all the information is at. That's how I felt until recently, until I realized the importance of video, and I realized how influential it is, and how it affects people, and how, subhanAllah, on both fronts, people coming into Islam because of videos, people leaving Islam because of videos, and lives being changed because of videos. And I thought to myself, la, I had it wrong. And I felt that way for years. I had nothing to do with media for years. And yeah, so that's my short story of how I came back to this, kind of.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even sound like there was ever really a point in your life where you were like straight away from the deen and lost Islam. It seems like you were always practicing your deen, and even at this point, I mean, you made a film about hadith and stuff. So
I never did drugs. I smoked once. I smoked, just to try it out. I did shisha once just to try it out. Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
I hope, is my mom watching? I hope my mom's not watching.
I'm saying you don't have to offer up this information, but yeah, man. So let's move into you starting your Dawah channel, because like I said, man, there was this huge void, and it allowed all these people to act like CP in particular was something he wasn't. He was a con artist. He is a con artist, but people
So,
thought he was so much more than that. And oh, all you Muslims, you can't handle him. And I was just sitting back like what's going on here, you know? And then you started dropping these videos, video after video, and not only him, but then all those other people that they would also sometimes come in, and this one and that one, and you just started mowing them down, you know? Like, how did that end up happening?
Oh, CP, I hope you're watching this video, CP. Yeah, just don't you know? Yeah, don't share it with my parents. Whatever you do, don't share it with my parents. CP, me and him, we built a connection. We built a connection. I'm sure that he has a place in his heart for me after watching all that content. Yeah, we're connected. We're connected. Me and him, me and Abu Layth. You know, these guys, we're all connected in a way. After you spend, months watching those people. I know these guys better than their family know them. I know everything about
it's like a superhero and a supervillain, you know, that type
of relationship. That's pretty much it, man. Yeah, so people were sending me the same things that they were sending you. Refute CP, if you dare, and whatnot. And I was like,
okay, challenge accepted.
Yeah. Not at all, I was one day, I was in this group, I was in this WhatsApp group with, mashallah, a lot of du'at, and I was like, my God, this guy is really affecting people. For him to, people bringing him up, what's going on? And that's the main issue. When someone's not responded to, people assume that he's something special, and no one's been responding to him for like a decade. Subhanallah, Allah musta'an. And this is the problem with all the du'at that are active but not doing anything about this guy. This is a huge issue, man. I blame myself as well. I blame myself as well for hearing about him and not seeing his video. The first time I heard his name, I should have looked him up. I had no idea how much of an issue he was. And then I watched a video. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna start taking this seriously. I'm gonna watch a video. And I watched the video, and he's talking to this guy, and he's like, you know this hadith. You don't like this hadith? And the guy was like, no, I don't like it. And he's like, why don't you like it? And the guy's like, oh, Bukhari, I don't like Bukhari. He's like, oh, me too, I don't like Bukhari. You know Bukhari, he used to go to the Prophet and he used to eat. He used to eat with him. He only became close to him to eat with him. And I was like, I was just like cracking up. I was cracking up. And I messaged the du'at in the group. I was like, Ya Jama'a, this guy, he thinks Bukhari was a Sahabi. Can you imagine? And I just started to crack up, and I started to take notes. I was like, I'm gonna ruin this guy. I just started to take notes and notes and notes and notes. And at first, I was like, am I gonna refute this guy for the stuff he says about Islam? And I realized there's no need to even do that. It's just call him out on his lies, because he lies so much. And that did the trick, I think. I think that did the trick. Instead of refuting his arguments, which would actually take longer, I just say, he's lying here, khalas. He says that this hadith is in this book, it's not. He says that this scholar supports his opinion, he doesn't. The scholar refutes it. And then, alhamdulillah, not too long later, I had 100 examples of him lying. Alhamdulillah.
That's fascinating. Like, alhamdulillah, it's like Allah really made it easy for you. Just the fact that you stumbled upon him doing that, and you seeing how blatantly ridiculous that was. Because I remember some of the first links I think that I saw of him where he was trying to debate other Muslims. He was so manipulative. I mean, not afraid at all to just blatantly lie and trick people and deceive them. Like, it's just so maliciously. Like, no, subhanAllah, no standard of morality at all, it seems. But unless you have a certain level of education, you can really be fooled by what he's doing, because you wouldn't expect somebody to be that evil. I mean, that much of a liar. And then also the fact that he knows Arabic, or he knows Arabic more than a lot of people, put it that way. So he really uses that to his advantage, because many Muslims don't know Arabic at all. So he'll just sit there and he'll act like So what you did was a great service. And I also think one of the reasons why, like you said, man, why don't more of the du'at and people of knowledge deal with these sorts of things? And that's something that I've been struggling with for many years because, like I said, I was trying to combine my knowledge of communication, design with, Dawah. And it just seems like a lot of people aren't. It's like if you're part of that world, you clearly see what's going on. But a lot of the people of knowledge aren't in that world. And it makes sense that they're not. I mean, why would they be part of that world sometime, unless they're much younger, But one of the
It's
great
our
things
problem,
about your
man.
videos was you also showed how, like, when people have those doubts, you completely destroyed the him, just period. Like, all the doubts, you showed the absurdity of it, which was very powerful, man. Because I mean, you even
Alhamdulillah.
showed how somebody like left Islam because of some of the doubts this guy was putting out. So it's
Akhi,
very important
alhamdulillah.
work, man. So
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khairan, akhi, for the kind words. He makes it easy. He makes it easy like no other. One of the guys said, I read these comments. Someone's like, make 100 lies on David Wood. I can't do that. I can't catch David Wood lying 100 times, or apostate prophet lying 100 times. You see, they don't lie. They don't lie that often. Yeah, you can catch them lying once in a while. You can catch them manipulating something. You can catch them quoting something out of context. But CP lies, akhi. He lies and doesn't
right.
care. So that's why it's so easy. And that's the point I want to get across to his fans. I have no reason to praise David Wood and to praise Apostate Prophet and these guys. These people are manipulative. They will show one side of the story. They won't show you the full context. However, they're careful. They're careful because they care about their reputation, so they do not want to lie. As opposed to CP, who doesn't care. Who doesn't care. He will lie.
That's
And
the thing. You have to have some sort of like disorder, like, because I mean, he must know he's lying, right? It's like
yes,
to
yes.
be a con artist, you know what I'm saying? It takes a certain type of person to be able to do that, to really just outwardly, knowingly lie, trick people to whatever
Yeah,
advantage you think you might have. I guess he sells books and stuff, but like, you got to
he
be a
does.
really low life person to
It,
do something like that.
he's got his Patreon, of course, so that helps. What's your favorite CP lie? What's your favorite CP lie?
I don't know. Okay,
CP,
I never.
CP, he came here. He came here just to check out what's going on. He had no idea we are going to be talking about him for so long. We had no idea we are going to be talking about him for so long.
Oh no, it's just I don't know, man. We're just shooting the breeze, It's just really, it's important for people to know that, though, that there are people out there who are really manipulative liars, man. And I've said this in a previous video, like, one of the main values my father instilled in me growing up was your word is all you have. Like, you can never lie, because if you lie, if people can't trust your word, you have nothing. And that's just like one lie, let alone 100. I mean, that's insanity,
Yeah.
So it's like, once you realize somebody is a liar, somebody can't be trusted, somebody has a hidden agenda or whatever, it's like forget even dealing with their shubahat. Like, just forget about them,
Right.
So
it's sad. It's sad that Christians really hate Islam so much that it doesn't matter if he's lying. We're going to assume the best of him in all the other things that he said. That's the saddest thing about it. And يعني يا أخي يعني I sometimes I care. Sometimes I truly care. I feel bad for people like that. And sometimes I'm like, if you're that stubborn, I can't help you. I can't care about you. I can't make more videos for you. Some people, I remember his brother, mashallah alayh, years ago, attacked Abu Huraira. He's a Shi'i guy. Attacked Abu Huraira, and I contact him. We're still in touch, man. He attacked Abu Huraira about this hadith that says that Abu Huraira basically, I can't remember what he was talking about, but basically at the end of the hadith, he's asked, Abu Huraira, did you hear this from Rasulullah or is this from your own self? And then he says, this is from my pocket, or this is from my bag, right? So he was like, you see, Abu Huraira lies about the hadith. And if you look into the hadith itself, you'll realize that Abu Huraira is basically quoting the Prophet ﷺ, and then at the end of the hadith, he provides an example. He provides an example of the quote of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So I was like, listen, when he says this is from the bag of Abu Huraira, he's referring to the example that he brought, not the full hadith. And he was just like, okay, that makes sense. I accept it. And that was it was so beautiful to see someone accept something so easily when it's brought so simply and clearly. And it's nice. It's beautiful to see that. But it seems like the norm is that people that conflict with you or go against you in ideology will just be stubborn no matter what. And it's sad. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I mean, and on the internet, it's kind of hard to really know who's who, because a lot of the time the trolls and the people with an agenda, they're the loudest. They're the ones with the comments. Whereas you'll have most people won't even say anything. You don't even necessarily know how it affected them, you know?
Right.
And then, as you said, I mean, sometimes you come across people who show ikhlas and sincerity and integrity, and it really is beautiful to see that sort of a thing.
How is in real life? How is that in real life? Have you seen people accepting matters that conflict with their ideologies so easily in real life, or is it often hard? I don't really have too much hands-on, face-to-face da'wah. I'm sure you've had a lot more than I have.
Well, you know what? Now with the coronavirus and stuff, it hasn't been too much.
Sure.
But I mean, in general, throughout my past, it really varies from person to person. You know, some people are they have a certain point in their head. They're argumentative. They just want to defend it. Some people are open, and even if they will accept what you say, they'll just say, you know, at the end of the day, like I've had, for example, conversations with Christians where it's like you'll tell them about Islam, about the Quran, you'll talk about the Bible and Isa, and you'll make sense of everything to them. And they'll accept all that and say, okay, well, you know, that's what you believe, and I just believe what I believe, you know. So there's also that aspect to it as well. You know, Allah guides whom He pleases, and may Allah always remind us of that and keep us sincere. Our job is not to guide anyone. You know, we just convey the message, and we're trying to get good deeds, you know. Alhamdulillah. But I wanted to ask if was CP, was he your foot in the door? Was he the first person you started responding to, or was it somebody else?
Apostate Prophet was the first guy. I have no idea why I even started with him. I have no idea why,
really?
But I think I just saw a video one day and I was like, I think I need to do this. It's often you see or you read the comment about someone saying, "Hey, I left Islam. Thanks for helping me out," and you're like, hey, "This guy left Islam because of this dumb video." so that's what motivates you. Wow. That's what motivates you to get into it.
You know what? But that's Allah really blessed you to have that firmness to be able to watch these sorts of videos, and instead of getting filled with doubts, you're like, you can see through all the nonsense, and that's why it's important that you're tackling these things, because not everyone can do that, man.
Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward them for this. They gave me 10 years of stuff to deal with. I'm so used to reading about things that I disagree with. Yeah, and I've just been doing it for so long that nothing's a shock to me, right? I'd read something crazy and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure there's something." And when you get to that stage, and there's an answer somewhere, and look into it.
Is that from growing up in Bahrain and having that Shia?
Not much. I actually got into it when I was out of Bahrain. When I was out of Bahrain, that's when I started. But when I was a kid, they used to toss some things at me. They used to toss some questions at me that I had no idea how to deal with. Naturally, they're doing da'wah. I appreciate it. I appreciate them doing that. But yeah, I spent, like, when I was in my last year of uni, I started to take it seriously. I started to just read the stuff that I used to freak me out, man. I used to go onto their forums, and my heart would race. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to read something today that make me change the way I see the world. And
how did you enter into that world? I mean, were you like, how did you even start going? Because I don't I stay away from all that stuff, you know.
Right, right. والله يا أخي يعني سبحان الله. I was just interested, man. I was just interested. Yani sometimes it's me wanting to do da'wah to people. At the same time, it's it's curiosity, and that's the issue with a lot of guys. They're too curious for their own good, and it affects them. And it's really important to learn before you learn about others. And people that disagree with you, they're not gonna share all sides of the story with you. They're just gonna share their view of you. And if you're a Muslim and you're thinking to yourself, I wonder what others say about Islam. If it's someone with an ideology that conflicts with Islam, it's not going to be something nice. So it's very important to seek out all sources, to seek out the most objective material, and to seek out the correct material from the original sources. That's the best thing that you can do, in my opinion. Instead of, hey, يعني subhanallah, man.
And really need, akhi, I was going to say, what we really need is just brothers like yourself and, you know, ulama dealing with this, so that we can just go to them and, you know, if by any chance they come across something, they have certain questions, you know, like you did such a tremendous favor by just making these videos, because now, I mean, think about behind the scenes, probably how many different people came across some of these videos, some of these issues, and they talked to individuals, and then they had to put in research and, you know, talk to people one-on-one and send emails and messages. It's like, when you just do those videos, I can just say, look, CP, check out this playlist, 100 lies, like, khalas, man, you know, and move on to something else. Like,
alhamdulillah. Well, it's not for me, man. It's not for me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put me in this situation, and it worked out. It worked out. So inshallah, yeah, may Allah accept it. May Allah accept it.
I mean, anything else, Akhi, you want to talk about? We can keep talking about some of the other people you dealt with, or any other projects that you got. There was one really good video you did about Aisha, radiallahu anha, mother of the believers, that was on Muhammad Hijab's channel. That was a beautiful video, man. Jazakallah khair. It showed me that you have much more to you and your da'wah and your ability than just, you know, refuting people like CP, you know? So do you have any plans for more of those sorts of videos?
I would love to. I would love. We spoke about this previously. Did you mention any examples of companions I should look into?
I think you had mentioned something about Omar, radiallahu anhu, right?
I'd like to do Omar. So for those that aren't aware, the video is basically the proofs of prophethood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through the eyes of Aisha and through the reports of Aisha. And what really made it special was, I don't think anyone's done it before, and it's such a simple concept. It's a very, very simple concept. It's going through all the hadith of Aisha and taking notes, and anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. Just going through all the narrations of a specific companion, and to use that to decide, or to ascertain why they became Muslim, or why they are Muslim, or how sincere they were. Doesn't need much. It just needs heart. That's all it needs. It just needs heart. And I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. I took those notes, and over, I don't know how long I spent, 2-3 weeks writing that stuff up. And when I was done, it's always this is always what happens when I'm doing research. I was like, oh man, I got nothing. I don't really have much. And then I look into my notes. I was like, oh wow, I got a lot of notes. And then I realized that I can actually do something with this. But alhamdulillah. I'd love to do more stuff like that as soon as I, deal with some of the guys that I'm dealing with at the moment.
Yeah. Do you have a preference? I mean, is there it seems like you sort of like that competitiveness with these other people, you know, like going back and forth with some of the...
I don't. I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy some of it. I enjoy putting a funny clip at the end, right? I enjoy, having David Wood going, that face and all that stuff. I enjoy that. But I making a video is annoying. Or do you feel that way, or?
I mean, you mean the technical aspects of like setting up the camera and because you're this one, well, Yeah, because there can be a lot that goes into it with the editing and the, you know,
Yes.
the memory cards and the charging the batteries and setting everything up. And yeah, I mean,
This is a lot easier, isn't it? This is a lot more enjoyable.
yeah,
Just doing
alhamdulillah,
that.
that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to knock these out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot
Yeah.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like making the videos, but sometimes, akhi, I don't know. Have you watched any YouTube commentary channels? Have you watched any of those
Yeah, yeah,
where they
sometimes.
go at each other?
You
Mind
mean,
giving
yeah,
an
yeah.
example?
So, no, man, I don't want to advertise any of that stuff. You know, yeah, some of these people, like the top YouTubers, right? Because we're in the
Yeah,
YouTube world, so it's good to see what's
yeah.
going on, and you know, and sometimes I come across their stuff, but yeah, what about them? You know,
Yeah, man, some of that stuff is hilarious. Some of that stuff is really,
uh,
really good. And sometimes people get completely destroyed. I don't think we'd be advertising for them, to be honest. I mean, those folks are way too big. So if you don't mind me dropping a couple of names,
yeah,
yeah,
man, on
no,
you.
go ahead, go ahead. So I think the main guy, the main guy was really good at that. Whoever he went up against was completely destroyed. He hurt people, and watching that, yeah, and watching him do that, and the research, man, the research he
Mm.
puts into that, the time he spends, the videos that he goes through, the stuff that he digs up on people before attacking them, and you're like, wow, man, this guy really put a huge amount of effort into these videos, and I respect that. I respect that. And I used to think, here's what I thought, Akhi, while watching that stuff. I'm like, man, I'd love to do this to someone, but this is so haram. You know, I could never do this to someone. And then, alhamdulillah, these folks came out of nowhere, or not really came out of nowhere, but I realized that I can actually do this, but you know, in somewhat of a respectful manner, and calling them out for attacking Islam, and and I realized that I could actually do that, and that's, in that sense, I do enjoy it. In that sense, I do find
Yeah.
joy in going after those people.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, you're doing it for the best of reasons. You're calling people to Islam. You're for
Of
forbidding
course,
evil and joining good. So
of
that's
course.
interesting, man. That's interesting. And it's also interesting how you can take skills, right? And you can use them for good. You can use them for bad. You know, you can use
Of
them
course.
for dunya reasons and, you know, silly things and slandering people, making fun of them, or you can use it for
Right,
the deen, you know, like it's
right, right,
subhanallah.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I try to keep there, you know, a level. There's always a level there in my videos. I don't go all out. I don't go all out. Yeah,
Right,
some of those
right,
other guys go all out, but alhamdulillah,
right.
I think I'm at that. I think there is a line that I haven't crossed yet.
I mean,
Alhamdulillah.
I haven't seen you do anything that I'm like, that's way over the line. In fact, we were working on a video together, remember? And I
Right.
and you were like, no, I can't do this. This is too. It was like it was I think it was for CP. Anyways, long story short,
Yeah.
after a particular video of mine, people started contacting me about doing voice work, basically.
Right.
So, I wrote this like it was like a WWE, what's his name, Mean Gene or whatever, remember? And I was like, it was basically Farid against CP, and I
Yes.
was like this WWE commentator, you know, like oh.
You
And
got the voice
but
for
and you were like, I think I spent like hours on that, and I sent it to you, and you're like, oh, this is like you
it.
enjoyed it and everything, but it was like this is too over the top. So you've always seemed to have
Sorry. I'm
a
sorry.
gauge
Yeah.
for like no. I took that upon myself because you asked me to do something specific, and you did end up using my voice for one of your videos.
I did. I did.
Yeah, but I was like, what
I,
about this?
I loved how people recognized your voice. I was
Oh
I
yeah, that was
was
cool.
I was quite pleased with that.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. We've had a few
I,
little inside things like that, like when you did my leaked audio of the
yeah.
our conversation and stuff. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, man, I'll give you the last word. Is there anything? I mean, there's lots of stuff we can talk about, but I'm gonna leave it up to you, man. You want to get really controversial, or should we end it?
I don't think we should get too controversial because of what's going on and how that's going on. And I think a lot of people who are watching this are wondering if this is going to be brought up. But I think it's best to not to. unless unless something happens, and I don't think anything's going to happen. But I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this is assuming that this is going to be brought up. Maybe we should, maybe someone should put in the time code saying this is the point where you thought that this was going to be brought up and it wasn't.
Yeah. Those who know, I guess, huh?
I guess so.
I
guess so. But
yeah, I think that's the best way to go, man.
I think it would be a good idea to mention to speak generally about stuff like that. Subhanallah, I saw a lot of strange things in the community in the past few days in the online Muslim community, which was really ajib. The fanboyism and it's not just with Muslims, of course, it's with everyone, but fanboyism is a huge issue, and I am aware that I have my own fanboys, as strange as it sounds. It's really weird. Even me acknowledging that is just weird. And I dislike fanboyism. I think it's a huge issue, and everyone should be open-minded to everything that they dislike. And people should be more open-minded to ideas that conflict with the way they view specific people. This is so vague.
Well, I think it's important. I think ikhlas, sincerity, asking Allah for truth, asking Allah to guide you, that is very, very important. You don't want to be too open-minded where some people, it's like they do mental gymnastics all day to try to justify something and respect every single perspective, even if there's nothing there, So it's really guidance at the end of the day comes from Allah. We ask Allah to guide us and to guide everyone, all of our brothers and sisters and the non-Muslims, and to never let us go astray. Amen. Yeah. But that's all you want to say?
That sums it up, man. That sums it up. I truly hope people can get past their fanboyisms in general. It's quite sad to see that, and it's quite sad to see the lack of husn al-dhan for some people, and the extreme of husn, the extreme husn al-dhan for others. It just goes to show that a lot of what's going on is a popularity contest. That's what's mainly going on in the world in regards to everything.
Part of it is I think there's just this desperation, man. It's like, especially when it comes to Islam, we're talking about du'at, people giving dawah, teaching. And there are certain people, it's like, we don't have that many people, like in the West, for example. Like, on a grand scale, when it comes to people who have really adapted to the modern age where they're putting out videos and they're active on social media, because that's where everyone is at, really. Yeah. There might be somebody in the masjid up the street who's like, mashallah, he's very knowledgeable and everything, but it's like, how many people are really sitting at his feet versus they're on Facebook and they're on YouTube, So it's like, out of those people who give you your daily dose of Islam, your iman boost, how many are there? And then if one starts going astray or people start pointing out their mistakes, how stressful is that on somebody's life? Do they really want to? Some people are just like, Khalas, I'm sticking with this guy. I like him. He boosts my iman. I'm not. That's it, And I think that's where part of this fanboyism, as you put it, comes from. Where it's just like, I can't deal with all of this. I'm just sticking with this guy. And
what do you think is the solution? What's the solution to that?
I think we need more du'at, more people who have proper understanding, proper training. We all need to, not that I'm part of them, but they need to keep everyone in check. They need to fill these voids, put more content out there, come to the people where they're at. That's what I think. Okay, and that's really what my platform is all about, man. It's not about me making videos and doing this. It's like I want to have other people come on. I want to give them a platform, and that's what I've always tried to do. If you go back all the way to the beginning, you know. So that's what I think. Okay, the solution is, man. Because I'm just like these other people. I'm the same way. I want to see Sheikh so and so more active in addressing these issues and, you know, clarifying things and making more stuff on a daily basis that everyone can benefit from and really help shape the societies, because it's just where we're at as a world community at this point, a global community. I mean, we're all on the social media and YouTube and this and that. So that's what I think we need. But
so that will lead people to diversify their sources of knowledge, having more people out.
Well, yeah, they won't have so much invested on one person, you know. If you have like 20 scholars from Ahl Sunnah that you know and you like to listen to, it's sort of like, for lack of a better, I don't want to use a bad example, but like if there's a certain TV show or something like that, let's say you have 20 TV shows you like. I mean, if one of them goes off air, it's not going to be as detrimental to your life. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
that's a good example,
you know,
man. It's a good example. I think that works.
You know, we have too much invested in just one guy, and then once you take him away, who's left? You know, yeah. And sometimes when you take that one away, you can actually, people will fill that void with something worse. You know, sometimes that happens.
Right.
So that's why this whole refutation thing and criticism, it's tricky. You know.
Yeah. If what would happen if, like, imagine some people, and this was the craziest thing. This was the craziest thing for me. Like I would see, and this doesn't happen much, but it has happened. Someone would be on Twitter, and he'd be like following one person, and that would be me. These are new accounts. Like, there's a new account. He's not following anyone except for me. Like, this person made the Twitter account to follow me on Twitter. I think that's a problem. Yeah, to be honest, like, I feel like that's a problem. No one should be, following me in that sense. But what if one day I just quit this and I'm like, hey, you know what? This is just too annoying. This is just tiring me out. I don't want to make videos anymore. I want to just live a chilled life and enjoy ilm. I just want to read all day, and I just want to enjoy whatever is left of my life, right? If that happens to me, that might affect this person. Me quitting might just affect this, and this is not how it's supposed to be. People need to be looking for, they should be looking for rudud, refutations, in other channels as well. And there are a lot of people that are doing refutations. It's just that they're not doing refutations targeting individuals in the same way I'm targeting individuals.
That's the thing. If aside from your CP playlist, like if somebody came to my channel or someone came to me with doubts about CP, what could I send them? You know?
Yeah.
Is there somebody else who's done it? You know, like that's why, inshallah, your reward will be massive from Allah, your good deeds and everything. But it's like, it makes you question, like, subhanAllah, how so much responsibility put on you? And you terrible. Even said before, like, you just felt forced into this, just as much the same way I feel about just being forced into this sort of a thing. Like, you know, you're supposed to give da'wah, you see what's going on, you know that you should try to change something with your hand if you can, you know, if not with your tongue. Like, so you just end up, you know, falling into these sorts of situations, and out of necessity, you know.
It's tough. It's a tough situation.
You know what else is tough, akhi? And we're going kind of long, but now that we've sort of opened up this can of worms, you know, like I there's also the other extreme of people really, well, there's two extremes when it comes to da'wah, of people who are really unqualified giving da'wah about things they have no business talking about. And then there's also people who are qualified and they don't. And it's about giving da'wah at your level, not doing anything incorrect. And what you find, subhanAllah, is that some people will hate on you, man. Like, I recently fell out with a brother who I loved him for the sake of Allah. I considered him a friend of mine. And it just, a lot of things came together over a long period of time. And he just showed that he had this real hatred for me, that I'm out giving da'wah, you know? And I'm like, okay, if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know. You're doing me a favor if I'm doing something wrong. Like, did I say something that was incorrect? You know? but it just became this, you know, oh, you have no ilm and you're ignorant and you're doing this and why are you doing that? And it just, you know, just insulting me and being very mean. And it's just like,
Well,
subhanAllah, like,
why did this happen? Well, what triggered that?
I mean, basically this individual, and he's going to know I'm talking about him if he sees this, but he made takfir of somebody, right? And I was like, whoa, akhi, don't, you shouldn't be making takfir of somebody, man. Like that's overboard. And this person he was making takfir of, it's not like a friend of mine. It's somebody I've actually, you know, have a history with, but I'm like, that's too far, you know? And it just seemed like he just got very insulted by that. But like basically, who are you to tell me what I can't, you don't know anything. And, you know, it just, at first he seemed open to hearing my side of the story. So I tried to go back and forth with him a little bit, but eventually it just came out. Like the next morning, I just woke up to this note where he's just like really just insulting me, man, just as a person. And over the years, I've actually had, you know, there's been signs of this. Like, you know, sometimes people will say subliminal things or they'll say something about somebody else. And you're like, well, if that's how you feel about other people, why wouldn't you feel that way about me? And it just all sort of came out, you know. But the point is that even amongst us who like are trying to give da'wah, we're not even trying to go beyond our means. You know, we see this void, we're trying our best, may Allah guide us. And if we make a mistake, please let us know. I mean, you know, but you still have people hating on you. And it also, you know, it's a thank you to the people who do support, because there are a lot of people, they might not realize how much it means to us when they say, you know, Jazakallah khair, like I really appreciate and I benefit. And so, you know.
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you, akhi. May Allah fix that broken relationship. Inshallah, that works out.
Inshallah, okay, but you reach a point where it's like some people, man, you can't have toxic people in your life, you know. Like I lost sleep over this sort of stuff, you know, and it wasn't the first time it had happened, you know. And I even consulted a sheikh about it. I was like, if I cut off, like if I block this brother or something, is it haram or whatever? And we had a long discussion about that. But anyways, man, this got kind of deep and dramatic near the end.
Even I think sometimes when these things occur, they always end up fixing themselves as long as both parties are you know, you look past these things and you look at the bigger picture, and there is this bond, this brotherhood, and I think that once it gets fixed, it will never be at that level. It's never going to be at that level. You're never going to be that close to that person again. But you know, at least you'll have that. You'll have the salams. You'll have the, you know, what you've been up to, and I think it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. It's better than having the not hatred, but the dislike and the blocking and whatnot.
Yeah. May Allah guide all of us and bring our hearts together and guide us to what's best, you know? Like, we're all trying our best here. Right? May Allah give us a ikhlas, you know?
Amen.
All right, man. I'll give you the last word. I really appreciate you coming on, akhi. This has been great. You know, Jazakallah khair. Let them know where they can find your stuff, and I'll put it in the description so people can benefit from your work and anything you got going on.
Allah barak fik, ya akhi. Well, channel is Farid Responds. My Twitter handle is right here. If you wanna harass me on Twitter, if you want me to see my weird random tweets, vague tweets about vague matters that I don't want to mention right now, you can enjoy that. You can enjoy my hashtags as well. You know, my funky hashtags. So that's pretty much it.
We got to do this again, inshallah.
Inshallah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I enjoyed this. Barakallah feek, bro.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.